Zero, and welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People for Wednesday, October 21st. I'm your CWRAP host, Donald Hovis from the Chicora Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach. We're pleased to be joined by the president of the Daniel Island Rotary Club down near Charleston. Let's give a warm CWRAP welcome to Angela Drake. Good afternoon, Angela. We will do some announcements and then we'll turn it over for your introduction of your counterpart that will do most of the talking today. But thanks for being here. We look forward to your presentation. Those of you here on the Zoom call, thank you for being here. We just mentioned about virtual backgrounds. The virtual background that most of us have, the purple pinky polio power in polio now virtual background, is in the chat box if you want to download it. We ask you use this background in any Rotary themed conference calls in the month of October. Introducing your CWRAP team, the public image chair for our Rotary district, sporting her purple wig and her In Polio Now shirt once again, Mary Gask. Thank you, Mary. And our district communications officer, he might slide in the screen here, but he's letting people in the meeting, running the stream, from the Somerville Evening Rotary Club in Somerville, Terry Moore. Thank you, Terry. Yep, there he is. See, he slides in. Good timing there, Terry. All right. So those of you on the Zoom call, we want to introduce yourselves via the chat box. How about give us your name, your Rotary Club, your classification, and then answer this question. Today is National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. So we want you to say, is it pumpkin cheesecake or do you have another flavor of cheesecake that you like? And if you don't like cheesecake, tell us you don't like cheesecake. All right. Leading us in our prayer and pledge before our meeting begins, our district governor, Pauline Levesque.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, give us time for patience, time for understanding, time to remember. Lord, give us thoughtful deeds to do, time to believe in our fellow men, and time to see the value of being a Rotarian. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, by liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pauline. Now I will ask Angela and George to come off of mute. And Angela, good afternoon and welcome again. And how about you you take it away, do your little introduction like you did a few minutes ago, and turn it over to George, and then I'll go with questions after that.
Well, thank you. First of all, I don't like pumpkin cheesecake. But the best part of this all is we are in the spirit of giving. We're in a season of giving. And we, as the Daniel Island Rotary Club this year, had to think of a different way of the duck race. I mean, we've been successful over the past 10 years, hugely successful. And it's been a hands-on environment, hands-on giving. And this way we had to think of a different way of giving, a different way of discovery. It's not a year of recovery, it's a year of discovery, of doing new things, approaching new ways, of giving to charities, of choosing those charities. And I can't take the full, I cannot take the full benefit of this environment that we're in, that we have such great teams in our Daniel Island Rotary. And George Roberts has been just instrumental in the past 3 to 4 years of the duck race. And he, of all people, can take full credit with his committee, his team. I cannot do that. So therefore, I'd like to turn the floor over to George Roberts to tell us this new year of discovery with the duck fundraising.
You're very kind, Angela. So do you want to overview first, or are we just going with questions?
Let's do an overview first and then the questions. How about that?
Just to give you a little background on kind of what the before was. So normally we would have 7 different clubs coming together, working on about a 3 to 4 month campaign. We solicit sponsorships from local businesses and then individual adoptions from friends, neighbors, business acquaintances, anyone that can pony up $10 or more for a duck. And at the end of that, we would typically have a race where there are prizes. In the last few years, we've been using cash prizes starting at the $10,000 level for first and going down to $1,000 from there. And we normally do solicitations, many of them in person. We have a website and we've used that in the past. But typically we've done, you know, stands at different events, tables in front of Publix, anything, any place we could get with traffic, we would be there and soliciting for adoptions. So with this year being a little bit different, we postponed as long as we could. We backed it up. We were supposed to go the first week in June. We backed it up to October, and then we just kind of canceled that whole thing. And basically went with a 30-day campaign, mostly online. We solicited sponsors just like we had done in the past. And it was really kind of the two keys to the campaign were, number one, it was a matching donation program. So our sponsors put up money up front. And then when we went to individuals, we said, okay, your dollar will be matched up to what the sponsors have donated as well. The second key to it, that we were choosing charities that were all impacted by COVID, helping those that were impacted by COVID. So it wasn't our normal kind of list of just, you know, any and every nonprofit. They were very specific to this. So it was for the month of September. We launched on the 1st of the month. We have a website where you can make a donation online. We modified that page. We also have a page for sponsors where they can go online, basically input all the information and make the payment for their sponsorships. Those range anywhere from $250 to $5,000 sponsorships. We also had very generous support from the Daniel Island Community Fund as a sponsor. So basically we did kind of the normal things. We did email marketing, social media, getting everything else, you know, emails out to the club members so they could forward them on to their friends and family. And basically just kind of repeated that process. I think we did 7 emails over the course of the month directing people to go to the website and donate. We ran, I think, 6 ads in the Daniel Island News. Also did press releases out to the Post and Courier, Moultrie News, that sort of thing. And just kind of repeated that process until the end. And it worked out pretty well for us this year. I got really lucky. I told them I kind of pulled a number out of my, you know, where, but we were shooting for a goal of 100,000 and we ended up with just a little over 105,000. And the split on that's about 75% sponsors and 25% individuals. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. A little different from what we normally do. Like I said, normally a 3 to a 4 month window. No standing outside at Publix, no actual race, no prizes. So this was just asking people really to make a donation in support of those that have been impacted during this. And I think we've kind of seen that, you know, there are some people have been, it's almost the tale of two worlds, this pandemic. You know, we've got some businesses that are doing better than ever, grocery stores, you know, the liquor store, the bicycle shop, swimming pool builders, believe it or not. But then we've got others like restaurants and hospitality and other people that are just trying to get meals to put on the table. So a lot of the people are feeling like they weren't impacted by this are looking to help those that have been impacted. And I think that was one of the keys to the success.
And George, to add on to that, we focused on Daniel Island and Cane Point, which is our district for our Rotary Club. And that's why we made a concerted effort for these 5 charities. And we have more that are going to filter out, but we focused on Daniel Island and Cane Point, food, affordable housing, children, parental, and the food and beverage industry. So that's why we chose these 5 charities that everyone agreed upon, because they all hit upon the wheels of Rotary of how we can affect the community. Am I right, George? Or?
Yes, very much.
I'll notice I do see a few ducks in your background there, George. So for those that aren't familiar, we talked about the virtual option, what you did this year, but how about paint a picture of maybe what years look like in the past? How many ducks? Where do you do the race? What Rotary clubs are involved? Give us more of the actual duck race knowledge?
Yeah, so typically it would be, our club. We have two clubs in Mount Pleasant, North Charleston, Somerville, and then St. Andrews. The actual race, we have in a mini warehouse 30,000 little rubber ducks.
They're quarantined.
Yeah, they're quarantined. I don't have, these are our decoy ducks behind me here that we give out as kind of a tchotchke if someone adopts during normal times. We didn't do that this year because it's kind of a hands-free and trying to be automated. So we have the 30,000 ducks. We used to drop them off the bridge in the Wando River on an outgoing tide, which kind of affected when we could have the event. Angela won't like me repeating, but I think there was some confusion with a 5 or 6 car pileup on the bridge one year. So we're no longer allowed on the bridge. So we moved to a lake on Daniel Island. We have booms that we build kind of a little track, and we put the ducks at one end. And then we have the local fire department that comes with a truck, and the fireman literally gets in the lake with the ducks and with the hose pushes the ducks down to the finish line. And then we pull them out at the end. Each duck, one of the first projects we did when I joined the club, I think, was one winter, we inserted an RFID tag inside each duck. There were issues with writing the numbers on the duck or with putting labels with the number on the duck. The river took care of both of those. So we actually did surgery on it. Each duck, made an incision, inserted the RFID tag, and then sutured it back with, I think, some form of super glue. But basically that's it. We have normally somewhere around, I guess, 21,000, 22,000 of the 30,000 get adopted. And it's a big event that day. We have food trucks,
Yes.
Jugglers, face painters. We do it in conjunction with the community association, and they normally have a concert that day following the race. So it's kind of a good kind of family-friendly event that we do, along with the actual race itself to determine the winners.
That's really neat. And then what's the cost of a duck?
It's $10.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and like I said, typically with the sponsors, it's $250 to $5,000. And normally with those sponsorships, they would get ducks that they could assign to their staff or their best customers, whoever they might want to do that. Some of them actually put their ducks in for charity, and if they win, that money would go to a charity of their choice.
And not only COVID affected the race this year, but also the laws within South Carolina with the lottery, because the legislators couldn't vote on how the new lottery changes were taking place, but that's already been approved. So this year, actually, between COVID and the new law within the state of South Carolina, it caused us to change the way the race was run with tax implications. So next year we'll be able to go back to the old ways if we need to, which will be in June. But there were two factors that caused us to change the way that we held this fundraiser this year. So instead of the duck race, we had the duck fundraiser because it's fun giving good. And that's where our new motto came into play. So we just adjusted with the times, and George and his team and the Rotary Club phenomenally well this year.
And I'll go through, I see some of the questions in chat if you want me to answer some of those.
Please do.
Yeah, we do promote it daily on Facebook and Instagram, but we did not channel it through their fundraising app. We've been doing the race now for, I believe this is our 14th year, and we've raised about, I think we crossed the 2 million mark on this one.
We have.
Right at 2 million over that time. How do you pair a buyer with a duck number? Basically, it's the biggest spreadsheet you've ever seen. So before the race, we actually pull the ducks out and we have an RFID scanner. So we don't even have to take them. They're in basically big garbage cans with wheels, those big square garbage cans like you probably have at your house. We just take the RFID gun and we scan that entire garbage can, and it inputs every one of the numbers off the RFID tags onto the spreadsheet. And then once we get that spreadsheet built out with, and I think we have had some, casualties over the course of this. I think we are at probably around 28,500 ducks. So we built a spreadsheet with all those numbers in there. And then as people adopt their ducks, we assign them to the numbers just kind of randomly as they're listed and as their donations come in. And let's see. So that's kind of a manual process. There's no fundraising software. We just have a website that we have the ability to accept payments through. And that's just Sandy, our website person. She'll go in and make those changes. Like for this year, normally it's set up for how many ducks do you want? And then it multiplies that by 10. This time it was just an open field saying, how much would you like to donate? But then she did create the sponsor page, which is again, more specific with the $250, $500, $1,000, $3,000, and $5,000 levels. Yeah, and for this year, we weren't really selling or adopting ducks. So this was just asking people for a donation. I did do some math afterwards. We got, I think, a little over 300 people donating, but the average donation was over $93. So that was one change. On a typical year, we'd have many, many more transactions, but they'd be a much smaller average transaction. When we're standing in front of Publix, it's usually a mom, and if she's got 2 kids, they'll adopt 2 ducks. But this year was a little bit different. People were very generous. Like I said, a smaller number, but the ones that gave much more. Push back on. Yeah, and there's nothing, no conservationists, no one's had an issue with it. When we did it in the river, we had a duck navy, so scout boats, so provided boats, plus we had friends and family out there in their boats with dip nets. Same thing on this. We basically take every one of the ducks out of the water. So they are in the water literally about 30 minutes maybe. And we start pulling them out immediately because children are attracted to them. So if you don't get them out of there, they'll start to disappear.
So talk to us about some of the charities that you chose this year. I know they were all that had been affected by COVID, but can you talk about each one and why you chose them?
I'll be glad to take that, George, or you. We chose charities that were affected by COVID and that were immediately involved in Daniel Island and the Kinghoy community. One of them is the East Cooper Community Outreach, which every Friday we hand out 200 bags of groceries to that community. We formed a bond within that community. It's right outside of our, it's two miles outside of Daniel Island, but it might as well be in Peru or the Honduras because of the need there. So the third Friday of every month, bags of groceries. We partnered with East Cooper Community Outreach and also different produce companies to physically hand out those bags. Then of course, East Cooper Meals on Wheels, George is involved with, and we've been heavily involved in them because they not only provide meals to those that are impoverished, but those that have the need, that may have had a physical or mental process that they need to be delivered to. They may be alone. They may not have any other way of having one meal a day. And to us, right now in the COVID environment, food is a necessity, as we all know, and being able to feed the need is something we also led into with the food and beverage industry, where we had those that are involved in the food and beverage industry with Mickey Basque, who were not receiving meals because of the COVID environment. Mickey hands out about 14,000, he's handed out about 14,000 bags of meals so far, and we wanted to be able to help that need because there's many restaurants on Daniel Island and in the Kinghoy environment that needed that. Then the Humanities Foundation, we specifically asked them for needs within Daniel Island, and we have a wonderful partner in one of our members, Jonathan Bennett, who is the pastor of Holy Cross, and we found a need within Daniel Island for the affordable housing within Humanities Foundation, that those with low income housing cannot find basic computer. We set up a wireless system for the affordable housing program because the children had nowhere to go. They were trying to be homeschooled, and yet they didn't have the internet. So we set up an internet system for them, we set up a food bank system for them, and then basic needs system for them. Because if you're going to have to be schooled at home, you're going to have something to have lunch, you're going to have to be able to get on the internet. And so we worked with Home Telecom to set up a wireless system for them. And then another one was Halos. And we found in this economy, there's a lot of grandparents, a lot of siblings raising their own brothers and sisters or raising their grandchildren. And especially within the Canehoy community, Halos was instrumental in helping these children as they are not in school, be at home, and these grandparents couldn't work and their siblings couldn't work. So providing a basic structure for them. So basically, the Eastkeeper Community Outreach, Eastkeeper Meals on Wheels, Halos, the Humanities Foundation, and Feed the Need. So children, housing, affordable housing, feeding and helping, and just basic lifestyles of people within this community. And that's how we chose those five basic charities.
Excellent. And then you may see a comment from District Governor Pauline in the chat, but it says, how many total meals has your club provided towards our Feed 10 million goal since July? Not to put you on the spot, but
I would have to check with Maureen about that, to be honest with you. But I know within our community, within the last 5 months, we provided over 1,600 bags just for East Cooper community outreach. And then I'd have to check with George about East Cooper Meals on Wheels, and I'd have to check with others. So I will answer that question, Pauline. Madam Governor, yes, I will.
and can you clarify your previous comment about 200 bags? Is that 200 bags you distribute every Friday?
Every third Friday of the month. And then we partner with Limehouse and Limehouse Produce, and they provide these big produce boxes. And then based on the theme, we've tried to help the children as well and give them little Circes, whether it's Halloween or previous months of ice cream or something that the children feel like they're needed as well. And I have a personal story. I live downtown, and I was attending an event, and then I went to the post office afterwards, which is right here on Broad Street. And a basket lady came up to me, and she goes, "You're Miss Angela, right?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "You know what? I couldn't work here." She was a sweet basket lady. She makes all these beautiful baskets that you buy when you're in Charleston. And she said, "You know, for 2 months, I couldn't be here selling my baskets. And I live in Canehoy. And I went by the food bank, and you were there delivering baskets of produce and bags of food. And you know what? My family could have not had dinner for 2 weeks if you were not there. We had not eaten in like 6 days. And when it comes home to you like that, and someone comes up to you and Miss Jennifer, and you know what? It makes a difference. It makes a true difference in our community. And that's where we give back. And that was a personal story. And I will never forget that. Sorry, I have little tears because, you know, when you realize that her family, and she was the caretaker also of 3 of her grandchildren, that they wouldn't have not had dinner unless we were there. And it makes a difference.
So another question on what you were just talking about is the bags. Is that, do you use money you make from the duck race to get these bags? Is this part of your budget of your club? Is this donations from your members?
Actually, from the duck race, that's what we were going through last night for about 2.5 hours through our budget, is we allocate a certain amount for these 5 charities that we recognized as part of the duck race. And we assessed them and went through, before we actually chose them, we assessed their needs. What do you need from us? How can we help you? Instead of just saying, hey, we'll give you this amount, we said, what do you need from us? So each charity gave us their needs, you know, whether it was $5,000 for Halos, $7,000 for Humanities. So we actually vetted their needs before we just wrote a check. And I think that's important because we just can't go in and say, hey, we're here. But we're going in and vetting, asking, how can we help you? Because it's not just us. We can't go in as the big guy saying, you know, we can come in and solve the problems of the world. But we have a committee that actually, excuse me, I'm in real estate, that actually comes in and we assess the need, ask the request of what your immediate needs are within 30 days, 60 days, and that's how we assessed how much we gave out. Now, within the monies that we raised about 105,000, George?
Right, a little over 105.
Yeah, yes, and we base a percentage of that for our 5 key charities. So about 30,000 went to those 5 key charities, and the rest will go throughout the year because this COVID epidemic is just not within the past 5 months. We predict this could be within the next year. So we've assessed needs throughout the year and past charities that we've given to, and then future endeavors that we have. So that's how it's a very scientific operation of giving. It's a concise, precise effort of giving. And then, of course, we have our district obligations and our international obligations that we have with Peru, and we've got a new project in Tanzania. So we really have a financial team that really assesses our goals throughout the year.
That's excellent. Can you give us an idea of what is included in the food bags?
Yes. We actually have partnered with Publix, and there's essentials. There's healthy essentials, pasta, vegetables, canned goods, whether they're vegetables or things you can make pasta with. We try to think, if you think of having I hate to say this, big family where you stretch out meals, we try to think of everything that can be essential. And actually, George has a good idea of that because Meals on Wheels, you guys just have this healthy, phenomenal outreach with your Meals on Wheels. Can you go into that?
And I mean, the support this year will provide about 2,500 meals for our recipients. And yeah, we've been serving people during COVID. Maybe they were quarantined, maybe they were quarantined with the virus. So we've had a lot of people. It's been kind of a coming and going, plus kind of serving our normal recipients that we have year round. And because of the pandemic, we had to change all of our processes, and we're kind of like Chick-fil-A now. Rather than the volunteers coming up and coming in the building, they just pull up in our parking lot. We deliver to the trunk of their car. And we're actually doing frozen meals right now so we can take them to the recipient's home and leave it in a cooler on their front porch. So we're not even face to face with them, just because we serve probably the most, at-risk population out there. So it's been a huge help for us. We've had to change things as well here, but just happy that we could still be serving during this crazy time. There's so many organizations that have been so negatively impacted with this that it's astonishing. We're very blessed.
And that's why we chose Meals on Wheels too, is because they have a defined process. East Cooper Community Outreach, we all do hands-on packing the bags if we need to, giving out. But George and his group have a defined process of needs and assessments throughout the community. And again, it's defined giving. And that's what we're focused on, because there's so many needs out there, and we're just trying to address the needs within Daniel Island and the Canehoy community.
Yeah, really interesting story. Thank you for sharing it. You answered every question that was in the chat box, and you've talked about every question that you sent me over. So in kind of closing, I'll put a plug out there. If anybody has an additional question for either George or Angela, please post that in the chat box now. If they do come through, I'll ask them to you here in just a second. But those of you on here, thank you so much. I mean, Rotary is about service above self, and these two right here have truly shown what service above self and giving back to our community can do. So big kudos. I think we should all give you guys a round of applause. So,
well, we thank you, but we need to applaud our district too for supporting us, and thank you for all that you've done for us and Pauline and all the seminars. And we're very appreciative to be part of this district. So thank you as well. And by the way, there's another duck fundraiser coming up in June, so keep it on your radar.
So will you be virtual again in 2021?
George.
We're in the planning process, but anticipating that we will be in a position to have some form of a physical race. It is legal now, so the raffle law has been reinstated. So we'll have to wait till the actual time and see if how many people might be allowed. We're in good shape, I think, because it's an outside event, so that helps quite a bit. So a lot of ways to social distance and, mask and that sort of thing outside. So planning for the first Saturday in June.
We'll invite all of you, so plan on attending. We'll give you the event. And then at the same time, tonight we're having our chili cook-off, which is a huge chili extraordinaire cook-off for polio. And so far we have 55 in attendance, and we're voting for the best chili. There's one from the north, the south, the Midwest, and of course the vegetarian from Florida. So we'll keep you updated on that one too. Thank you. Thank you for letting us be here. We're appreciative to serve, and we appreciate our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's a comment there that you could sell duck masks, because I know George has a duck shirt on right now. So
we have everything duck there is, I think. So
we've got them. We're giving them out tonight, in fact. Safety above self.
You sell T-shirts at the race?
We don't.
We don't.
But that's a good idea. We could take a look at that.
But this year it's masks, because we have plenty of masks. And so this is what we'll be giving out tonight at the chili. There you go.
That's really cool. All right.
So thank you so much, Donald, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate you, Pauline, as well.
So George has posted his contact information in the chat box. So if you have additional questions, George posted his email address there. Angela, I don't know if you want, if you would like to post yours if someone has questions, or if you just want to handle it. But if you have any additional questions after this, you can always get their contact information here coming up. As she's posting that in the chat box, we do these on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday and Friday at 11, Wednesday at noon. There's Angela's contact information in the chat. So coming up on Friday, it's hard to think it's already going to be another Friday again. We're going to hear from Major General Craig Weldon, restoring the Pentagon after 9/11. So that should be really interesting discussion as well. And then we've got all of October filled and only a few dates left in November. So, keep it coming. We love having you guys participate in this. We love doing this. I'm sorry we couldn't get this up on Facebook today, but we will get it posted later today. So don't worry about that. And then if you want to hear any previous conversations with Rotary Action people, you want to use them for a speaker at your club, you can find those on our YouTube channel or on the front page of DAC-DB. One final announcement. 9 days from today will be Halloween trivia brought to you by CWRAP. So we'll have some prizes, maybe some Halloween masks. I don't know what the prizes are at this point. I think we might have some aprons, I think I've heard, and maybe some other musketeer masks, possibly.
Duck mask.
There you go, duck mask. Daniel Island wanted to donate a duck mask as a prize. That would be awesome. But we'll be doing some Halloween trivia that day. So brush up on your Halloween trivia, and that'll be our program on October 30th. George and Angela, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I will conclude with the Rotary 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you on Friday at 11 for the next conversation with Rotary Action people.
Thank you, guys.
That's a wrap. Bye-bye.